Nope, not. Now we're live again, and hopefully my computer is getting hot, and it had been
It's all
working, and
good.
now it's not. And so we will get through this, and I will tie them all together at the end, and I will figure out how to make this work. So, with that said, keep on going with your story there.
Well, this your computer going out is perfect for what we're talking about because guess what, guys? The business it's all about obstacles and learning to overcome them.
You know what I
And
always
I
say is usually when something happened, everything happened. The wheels fall
yeah,
off of the one, transmission falls out of the other truck, the motor blows up in another truck, and just everything happens when it happens. So,
yeah, absolutely. The business is one long process of elimination. That's all it is. And you go through it through a trial and error. You try things that work, and that doesn't work, and then you move on to something else, and that's how we all learn. And that's the best way to learn, by the way.
yep. So, obviously, you grew your business and you're up to 12 trucks now and have, I'm assuming, do you have an operational manager or are you the operational manager?
So when we got cut off, we were talking about sales, the four pillars, right?
Yeah, Kip, let's go back to that. Yes.
Yeah, we were talking about the four pillars. You were asking me about technicians and when I grew and all of that, and I told you the very first piece that I got. And by the way, when I hired my office manager all those years ago, I paid her 1,800 a week back then because I understood that that part was very important. That I was not going to be able to grow without that. So she's on a W-2. She gets 7 weeks of paid vacation. She gets dental, health insurance, the whole nine. And her salary, she works from home, and that's all she does. So I got that part out of the way. Then I started building my team in the field. I just focused a little bit on the sales. I focused on the sales, the marketing, the operations side, and I focused a lot of energy building my team out in the field. Then when I had about 5, 6 trucks, I brought in a marketing manager that took over a lot of the social media, like 90% of the marketing. And then eventually I brought in a operations manager the year before last. So those four pillars, I have 3 people and I'm the sales guy. The only pillar that is me is sales. I'm the only one who goes out and does sales, does estimates. And I some people might ask this, 80% of what we do is remote, and I go to any job that has the potential to be over 1,000. So if we're pricing a 2,500 square foot house and that's all it is, and we've already done 250 houses in that neighborhood, I'm not going to go out of my way to do that. But if we're pricing a job and they want 8 or 9 add-ons, I'm going to that
Right.
for sure. But anyways, to answer your question, that's what it is. So I have marketing manager, operations manager, and I have an operations manager, and an office manager. So, and then I just do sales.
So when you started this business, how did you first start getting your customers? We kind of talked about backpack sprayers and how you probably ain't, you should not use a backpack sprayer because it's a good way to get third degree burns down your back,
It is.
and on your
It is.
shoulders and burn your butt. But what was the ways that you were starting to get your customers back then?
So you and I were talking about how the business is nothing but one long process of elimination, and you learn everything by trial and error. Really, that's how I did it. I remember, man, it's so funny. I ordered these flyers in the very beginning. I remember this. I ordered these flyers on Vistaprint, and man, they were fancy, guys. These are some fancy flyers, and I remember getting them in the mail. I was like, man, these are some fancy flyers. I'm gonna get a bunch of customers out of these fancy flyers. And I went out every night for like 3 weeks straight, and I put it on that little mailbox, right? Didn't get a single customer from it, not one. And then so I had to go back to the drawing board. And I sent you, I don't know if we can share with the group or not, but I sent you a 6x9 postcard. That's when I've had that postcard now for, I want to say, about 8 years. And I use that same postcard. And from the very beginning, because remember, I come from a sales background. So I understand about, and we're going to talk a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about this later on, but I understand a lot about sales impulse and how to make people on a subconscious level pick your company or go with your sales. So I put on my marketing there, and you guys email me. I'll send you guys a bunch of stuff on that. But I put on there, your neighbors just got a Mr. Bubbles house wash. And what I did with those is On my days off, when I didn't have any work, I would literally drive around nice neighborhoods, high-end neighborhoods, walk up to houses, and I had like a 30-second pitch, knock on doors. Because remember, I come from that background. I
Right.
was a door-to-door salesman for 9 years. So that was very comfortable to me. So that's really how I did it. I can tell you right now, I built, like, the backbone of my company was built with 5 arounds, 6x9 EDDMs, targeting dirty houses. And then every time I got a house, I would hit the 5 arounds. And little by little, because remember, I wasn't focused on growing in the beginning. I just wanted to learn the business. I wanted to learn to master the craft. So I wasn't worried about that. But almost immediately, I knew I couldn't afford a truck wrap. So, but what I did, I paid. I want to say it's right around $250, and I wrapped my tailgate. Yes, I wrapped my tailgate, and that got me like 3 to 5 jobs a week, because you're in traffic sitting at a light. Somebody, they're not going to see the side of your vehicle anyway. So I tell everybody this. That's the number one thing you probably should be doing is, and Jason, guess what? Like, I want to say 3 months later, I wrapped one door. I wrapped one door. So I had one door in the tailgate. That was it. My car looked funky if you looked at it from a different angle. And then I wrapped the other door like a month after that. And then 2 months after that, I wrapped the rest of the vehicle. So, it's so funny, but some people see obstacles, and some people, they just see a solution. I don't know. I'm wired that way, and I if I had an obstacle in my way, I just try to find a way around it. And people will say, I can't wrap my vehicle; it's too expensive. Well, wrap your tailgate. That's what I
Right.
did.
Right.
And so wrapping tailgate, 5 rounds, and then I would say bandit signs. Those three right there. If you can master those three, you're going to go very far. But you got to do them properly. One of the things that has changed in the marketplace, because you got to remember, I am out here in the marketplace. Don't put like your bandit signs, putting them all over the place like a madman. That don't work no more. What you got to do, very strategic, certain neighborhoods, put them on lawns of the houses that you do. I just went by. I was at a traffic light the other day. There was 16 bandit signs in this one area, and like 5 of them were from power washing guys. Like, what are you doing? I mean, that's dumb. All you're doing is you're littering, and it looks terrible, like terrible. So I wouldn't do that. So just be strategic. But those right there is what built my company: 5 rounds, a wrapped tailgate, and bandit signs.
So when you started, did you ever think you could hit the numbers that you've been hitting?
So I was making $100,000 a year, but I was miserable in my job. And I had this thought. I said, let's say I quit my job and I started a company and I made 50, half of what I make, but I'm happy. And so to me, it wasn't a money goal, it was a happiness goal. I wanted to have peace of mind, just be happy, be able to have make my own schedule and make as much as I wanted to make. In the beginning, my goal was not money. My goal was happiness, and then just learning the craft. And I fell in love with the business, and I wanted to be able to master the field and be good at it and be considered a professional. So I wasn't thinking about money. It just wasn't my driving goal. My driving goal was just creating freedom and happiness for myself. And then I went out every day, happy go lucky, and people was just like me because I had a good attitude and I didn't know what I was doing, but I always pretended like I did. You know what I mean? Like that old saying, if you don't know what you're doing, at least pretend. And then by the time people figure out that you didn't know, by then you'll know something. And that's what I did. But
So
right
that
around the 500K mark was when I started to pay attention. Like when I
so
started
what
making,
where was a
like,
plateau? Where was a plateau that you hit that like you did it one year and then you like? I know I talked to A plus pressure washing or whatever.
yeah.
Mr. Haggard is kind of up in that. He's in New Jersey, and he was
Hmm.
like, I hit 750,000 3 years in a row, and I couldn't get off of $370,000 to save my life. It was like a roadblock for him. what was there any time in growing your business the last 10 years that you hit a roadblock like that you had to overcome, and how did you overcome that?
So it kind of goes back to what we were talking about. I hit that roadblock for me when I knew I couldn't grow if I didn't get those four pillars right. And that first pillar for me, that first pillar was the admin admin side, because there's so much, guys. There's so much that happens on that side. I mean, wow. I don't want to go into it. This is not a live about administration, but there's so much that goes into that side because it also affects customer service.
But
And
I
so once I
thought the
got
most important part of this was having a $20,000 or $30,000 rig. I thought that was what you need to be able to grow a pressure washing
no,
business.
no, it takes a lot. So then what happened is I ran it. I was doing like 2K a day by myself. I had no employees. I was doing 2K every day, 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 every day. But then that was my plateau. I could not go over that. And then I knew I needed another truck. But then my phone was driving me crazy. I wasn't sending out receipts. I wasn't giving good administration, good customer service from the admin side. I figured that part out. I started to grow from there. I started like gaining about 100 to 150K every year more. And then pretty soon I went from 500 to 800 very quickly, like in 18 months. And then last year I broke a million. The year before that I did around 800,000. Last year a million. This year I'm going to do about 1.6, 1.7 around there. So
That is amazing. Would you
yeah.
think a Brazilian boy from in DC would be able to do almost $1.6 million business?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty crazy.
What
Every
are some
day I'll be
mindsets? What are some minds? Because I believe a lot of it has to do between the 6 inches between your ears, right? That's what makes or breaks you at the end of the day. What have been some mindsets that you've had to overcome, or how did you work through those mindsets?
so coming from a corporate world, you man, an employee mindset and an entrepreneur mindset, they're about as they're about as different as the sun and the moon. I mean, an employee can become an entrepreneur. I'm an example of that, right? And a lot of us are examples of that. But an employee mindset person he will not succeed in being an entrepreneur, because an employee mindset, what they want, an employee, if you boil it down to its nuts and bolts, what an employee wants is comfort and security. That's what they want. And an entrepreneur mindset, what we want is we want growth and freedom, which are the opposites of what, because guess what? Freedom is the opposite of insecurity. You got to go out there and get your own money. You got to
Right.
get your own health insurance. You got to get your own security, right? So we thrive in that. We thrive in with those challenges. So, it's very important for you to go out there and have the entrepreneurial mindset. And the number one thing I'll say about that is this: you can't succeed without work ethic. So there's nothing, if you don't have work ethic, forget it. If you're lazy, it does nothing else matters. You're not going to succeed anyway. So let's assume you have work ethic. So the next thing is a mentality for growth. You always got to be a student. Every day I'm learning something. Every day. I mean, I'm in my 11th year and I'm like a student. I take notes. I watch videos every single day. So that's the mindset that you got to have in order to succeed, especially in this business, because on in the back end of it, oh my God, there's so much stuff that you gotta, like for example, the landscaping business. You gotta sharpen the blade once in a while. You sit on the mower, you cut some lawns. There's really not that many moving parts. Your most expensive and your biggest moving part is your tractor or your mower, right? In
Right.
this business, there's so many moving parts that happen in the back end because you're dealing with chemicals. So there's so many things that can go wrong. So if you're not constantly uh, learning the business, the back end stuff, you're not going to grow. Like you're
So
going to
you
hit.
obviously have 12 trucks.
Yeah,
What are do you stick with just a few services, or do you just pick and do everything?
that's a very good question. That's an excellent question, actually. I'm going to tell you, I advise new guys to stick to a handful of things. What Don't try to be like a professional, because you can't do. It's like You can't do what a professional can do right now. So what I would do is, if I'm a new guy, so I'm gonna answer the question as if I'm talking to a new guy, right? So if I'm a new guy, stick to two, maybe three things: downstreaming and concrete cleaning, surface cleaning. Go out there and make $500 a day, wash the house and wash the driveway. Stick to that. If they ask for a roof, send that down the line to a guy like me, right? Because you're all you're gonna do is goof that up, and you want to get really, really good. There's guys out here, they're trying to do XYZ and they can't even do ABC yet. So in my business, we have, I'm making about 300K this year in gutter cleaning. I'm making a lot of money on solar panel cleaning. And I'm actually, in the next couple of years, I want to have a truck that just does that. It's just a solar panel cleaning. I'm making a lot of money in add-ons. And now, what we've done in the last 18 months of my company is we doubled our prices basically. And we stopped doing, I was doing 20 to 30 jobs, houses a day. And then we went down to like 15. And then finally I got it back up to 20 again. But we went from like a $250 average to $475 average almost overnight by just getting rid of because not all customers are created equal. And we want the creme de la creme customers. So, we do a lot as a company, but I don't recommend, if you're new to the business, your first 2-3 years should be mastering downstreaming because it's safe, and the chances of you screwing something up with downstreaming is minimal. Minimal. Guys, when I switched to soft washing, yeah, you got to know what you're doing with chems when you're soft washing, because you will kill plants, you will mess up houses, hardy boards. I mean, you'll damage stuff.
And
And
it can be
so
something that you don't even know. You got a hole in the
yeah.
line and it's not drawing equal, right? It's not pulling
Hmm.
enough water. You think you're at a lower percentage, and here you're pulling all this soap or you're pulling all of this chem, and now you're nuking
Yeah,
everything at that point.
absolutely. But yeah, and the other part of that is, on the equipment side, you know your skill has to grow. Your tools that you use in the field has to grow according to your skill. So if all you're doing is downstreaming and you're a new guy, you need a very, 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 like, the equipment that you need is not going to be very complicated. It's going to be a few things there. You got a machine, a tank, a buffer tank. But as you grow and you're going to be able to do jobs quicker, and you get into your AR-45s and your soft washing and your roof cleaning and all that, but by then you'll know so much more information about
Yeah, but
chemicals.
they
So
sell it all as a kit, and you can buy it, get a loan for it, and I can only pay I can pay $9.99 a month for my loan for this, and
yeah.
all these gurus tell me I can make all of this money with me doing this. Isn't that what
Well,
I need to do? Is buy the best right out of the get go?
no, and I am not a guru, by the way,
I'm
but
not saying you are a guru. I'm just telling you what
yeah,
people try to do because they're trying to
yeah.
sell equipment.
Um, my advice to people is dump the vast majority of your money in marketing. Have a good website, social media presence, have really, really good marketing. If you got that kind of money, dump it and put it into a wrap, and go out and get yourself the minimal equipment, but amazing marketing. Because if you get amazing marketing, off camera, we were talking about the guy I told you about, the Crocs guy. Were we live when we were talking about that? I don't
No, we
think so.
wasn't live.
I this just happened a couple weeks ago. I ran into a guy. He had one of Cody's units, 25, $30,000 unit, and the guy was washing a house in cracks, and no uniform of any kind, no wrap, not even a magnet on his truck, and in cracks. So that's, you don't want to. I don't even know what to say about that. That's like next level Chuck stuff, Chuck in the truck stuff.
So I want to hit on somebody asked the question because what you're
Yeah.
going to do 1.6 million in. They asked, do you do mostly residential or commercial? And I know you wanted to tie into something with that side of it.
That's also a very good question. I actually stayed away from commercial when I built my company because I realized that the equipment has to be different. Like, commercial equipment is different than residential equipment. And so I decided in the very beginning that I was going to be residential. 90% of what I do is residential. I don't go out of my way to get commercial, but we do. We get a lot of commercial, but organically. Like I have a close to $200,000 contract with my county, so we do a bunch of buildings for the county, and on Mondays, that's all we do is commercial work. So I do commercial work. This just happened today or yesterday. We just closed a deal where we're gonna do through because the HOA is paying uh, and we're going to talk about HOAs, by the way, but we just signed a contract, Jason. We have to do 244 gutters. It's the entire neighborhood. The HOA is paying for it. It's a huge contract, and we have to do it. It's between Thanksgiving and Christmas. We have to do 244 jobs.
Wow.
So, but yeah, I'm more on the residential side. We wash 20 houses a day. And when I say, we're going out there, very rare that we just wash a house. We go out there and we're upselling. That's the name of the game right there, because it costs money to get a customer. Like for us as a company, we're right around $40. Like just to get a customer costs us $40.
Mm-hmm.
So, we will go out there and then you upsell the basement stairwell for $100. Boom, that's a lot of money because it didn't cost you anything. If you upsell the gutter, I recently went to do a townhouse, like a small townhouse. It's $299 wash. We charged her $399 for the gutter. And then so boom, you're getting $600-700. That's the way to do it because you're already there. And when you get to a level where you have employees, you're minimizing the window behind the windshield time, because your guys, they're stuck there for 2-3 hours. So
right.
But that's a great question. But I recommend that when you're starting out, just pick one and then just stay with that for a while and master that before you jump into the other one. In my case, it was residential.
So tell us a little bit about, obviously you've gotten figured out how to do the HOAs. What's a good way to get in with the HOAs?
So we have for you guys. I know I'm not sure if they have HOAs all over the country, Jason. Like they have HOAs in your area. Okay.
Yeah, I know you're special in DC because you got all that federal money, but yes, we have HOAs everywhere. So,
but yeah, here the reason why I ask is about 45 minutes away from me, there's a little town, and 90% of the neighborhoods there are not HOA. So, but in my area, it's the opposite. Like 90% of the neighborhoods are HOA. So we have 36 HOA contracts, and with some of these contracts, we just did an entire neighborhood where we washed the sidewalks. Guys, if you have no idea, like you got to be prepared for something like that because you got to tap into the county's water, and it's a whole thing. But anyway, we have entire neighborhoods on lockdown. Like you could go out there. There's a guy in my area. He's putting out about 500-600 bandit signs a month. He'll do any house for $150, right? And he's got a bunch of them in neighborhoods where I got the whole neighborhood on lockdown. They're under contract because we give a special price like for everybody in the neighborhood. And then what we do is we go in there, we upsell, and that's where we get our money back. And the way I do that is actually very simple. What I do is this. It starts from the sales pitch on the phone. So you have to train your phone person. So if you have like a Jill's office, you're not going to be able to do this. If you're not picking up your phone and you're letting it go to voicemail, you're not going to be able to do this. You have to have a live person answering your phone because it's part of the sales pitch in the beginning. Because my office manager has a sales pitch that I taught her, and she practiced and became a master of. And part of that is asking two qualifying questions. One is, how did you find out about Mr. Bubbles? Because obviously we put that into our CRM program. And number two is, hey, did you by any chance get a HOA violation? Oh, yes, we did. And then her address goes into a spreadsheet. And then we target market that neighborhood heavily. So what do? We go and we put bandit signs in hidden areas in the neighborhood, not on the stop sign, the exit sign, because your competitors are going to take that down right away. You put it hidden in the neighborhood somewhere in a couple spots, and then you target market the whole neighborhood with your 6x9 postcards to specific dirty houses. When you get into that neighborhood, you start to do your thing. You got to have, people skills. If you don't have people skills, it's not going to work for you either. So then you get in there and you're going to build relationships with people. There's an old saying that I like a lot that says, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so I get in there and I show people that I care about their community because it's my community too. And I get the information of the HOA president. And then I go to that person's house, and then you're going to need a sales pitch. Hey, how you doing? You introduce yourself, and then you don't sell to that person. What you do is you do their house for free, and then you build a relationship with that person, and then you organically you're going to be like, hey, by the way, I got a couple of neighborhoods where I do the whole HOA. What we can do here is an agreement, and I will do everybody in the neighborhood huge price, deduction, $100 off for everybody if we do this through the HOA, and they will push it for you. But you got to be able to sell yourself. That's the ticket. That's the key. If you're not very good at selling yourself, yeah, that's not going to work. And again, what happens is, guess what, guys? If you're doing this, you're going to pick up a bunch of customers anyway, because those HOA neighborhood violations, they're the customers that you want, right? So automatically, you're already picking up everybody in the neighborhood anyway. Like sometimes I'm already 120 people deep in the neighborhood before I get this contract anyway. I've already done everybody. And then we pick up the contract, we put it on lockdown. And I have 36 of these. We just did a neighborhood. We did our 350th house in one neighborhood. There's a street in that neighborhood that has 22 houses. We've done them all. So that's what you want to do if you want to build your company, because I put something here for you guys. Look, in order for you to build a big company, I've noticed something through my own journey, my own experience, and it's this. You need basically three things to scale up and build a company big. You need equity in the marketplace, meaning good reputation. So your Google My Business, all of that stuff. Your Chamber of Commerce, your Better Business Bureau. You need to be on all that stuff, right? So you need equity in the marketplace. You need good branding, right? So you got to have shirts. You got to have, I told you the example of the guy in the Crocs. He's never going to be anybody in this business. You got to have branding. You got to have that down tight. So you're like, there's something about you that is synonymous to your company. Like people know your company just by seeing your trucks. So you got to have branding. And then the third thing on this list is you got to have a portfolio of clients that you build through the years. And I've noticed these portfolio clients, they're really good customers, high end. You can get a lot of money. In here, in Mr. Bubbles, Jason, I have a list that's in my safe. That's how important this list is. It's a spreadsheet. It has 265 names on it. And those 265 customers give me $500,000 a year.
Wow. So what do you, obviously that brings you kind of to your reviews and referrals, and repeats, right? Because that's when you're really going to start growing, is when you start getting more referrals and repeats, because that's where, you know, you can do Google ads, you can do all of those other things, but when your referrals and repeats start rolling in, that's when it really starts growing and starts taking off. And I always found out it's about year 3 to year 4 before that really starts, getting that going downhill motion, the snowball effect, whatever you want to call it, is you're looking about the year 3 and 4 before you start getting the repeats. And then, you know, you can work on your referrals earlier than that, but it's a matter of you've got to actually work on your referrals, right? And that can be a huge thing. I know another person that's going to do $1 million this year, and his referrals are really high. His referral tickets are like almost twice as much as all his other customers at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And you bring up an interesting point, and a very good one, because we we turn down a lot of business. And the reason why we turn down a lot of business is we're actually looking for a particular customer. And we don't want the bottom of the barrel. We don't want can you do it for $200? No, we can't. Because those customers, what we've learned as a company, and anyone who's been in this business for 10 years or more will tell you the same exact thing. Your worst customers are your bottom feeder, the ones that want the bargain dealing. They're the ones that are going to write bad reviews. They're the ones that are going to give you tons of headaches, and they're going to, hey, I need you to come back because you didn't do this right and you didn't do that right. And your customers that pay you $700-800 for a house wash, Guess what? They're out working 15, 16 hours a day. They don't even have time to eyeball stuff. And they're going to be your best customers. They're going to be your greatest champions, and your cheerleaders are these high end sort of customers that you want to attract. So you want to stay away from I just told you the example of the bandit sign guy, 150 bucks to do a house any size. I mean, come on. No. So, that guy is going to be in a business for maybe this season, and he'll wash out. And then there's going to be another guy like him that's going to come behind him and do that and then wash out. And then so, that's where you want to be as a company. You want to make sure that you get those high quality customers and you're targeting them.
So we're hitting our hour with subtract a couple minutes because my computer was being stupid. But hey, you know what?
We got to do this again.
Obstacle, and we made it for like 30 minutes without it dying yet. Knock on wood. And so that is a good thing. So before we jump off here, I want to ask a couple other questions. But before we do, if you want to text, know when I go live, text King, K-I-N-G, to 859-696-1101. Also, you can go to kingofpressurewash.com, and that's where you can learn where we do where I have everything online and marketing and everything you need to do to grow your business. And then if you want to do an in-person training where it's all hands-on, it's King of Pressure. It's kpwtrain.com. Before this ends, I have a few questions. Where should I pre-record Christmas lights? I don't know, wherever. And so that is something that as we move forward here, one thing I always like to ask people, and I don't know if you do or not, but one of the question is do you read books? And if you do, which book has been like a book that it has been, kind of that mind click, that whatever, to help you move your business? Which you were talking about the technician mindset, which that would become from the book E-Myth, which if you haven't read E-Myth, that's a great book. That's a book you probably should read 10 times to get out of that freaking technician mindset and start putting the roles of people where you need to be at. But that's what my book, but what is a book that you've read that you would agree?
The book that I've read 3 or 4 times, you already mentioned it. Think and Grow Rich. That's my favorite book. Yep. Hold it up, baby. If you read that once a year at least, I highly recommend that book. That's probably one of my top 4 favorite books. But read a lot of books. And I would recommend, because there's a lot of guys on here that are more experienced, I would recommend sales books. Read a lot of high level, how to be a good closer, how to understand the sales techniques. Guys, there's so many techniques in sales that are going to help you out in the field. So I highly recommend that. Look into sales.
What's Chris Voss's book? That's a great sales book. I can't think of what it is called. It's a great sales book, and he was a dude up there. And then the next thing is what would you say if you had to start all over? What are some words of wisdom that you would give people to start thinking about as they were growing their business?
Something that we talked about: focus on marketing. Like I said, a lot of guys, they're so focused on getting the newest toy, you know what I mean? They want the super fancy stuff. And start with the basics, master the basics. Very basic. And then once you master the basics, downstreaming, concrete cleaning, and kind of go from there. And if I had, like, I'm just using an example. Let's say I had $3,000 to dump into this business. I would figure out a way to make like 2,000 of that go to marketing, because that's the lifeblood. That's what gets you the customer. Like, for you to dump no money in marketing, it just does not make any sense at all. And if you have a small company or a big company, dump a lot of money into marketing, your branding, building your reputation in a marketplace, and the product it'll sell itself.
Yep, Never Split the Difference is the book I was thinking from Chris Voss. And I'm gonna piggyback off of what you said too. Of I've got people that did 169,000, 165, 169,000 last year. And he literally had a 3-gallon-a-minute pressure washer with a downstream injector and a pump-up sprayer. And this year he's done over 100,000 already. And the only thing he's upgraded is his 4-gallon to a 4-gallon-a-minute pressure washer. Equipment does not make you money, and I would agree 100% on this. Is marketing, 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 and that's why I love Mr. Bubbles so much. Is because we both say the same thing, and we're both saying it over and over and over. And there's a reason why we say it is because that's what's going to make you grow. Equipment does not make your business grow at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Other than that, any last words before we jump off here?
No, I had fun. I think we should do this. Make it a maybe a monthly thing. I think both of our communities are going to enjoy that, and I think we feed well off each other. And I don't know what I guess we'll see in the comment section, right? Right, Jason, what people
That's
think. But
right.
at the end of the day, I had fun, and I hope I get to see you guys again and
Awesome.
lollygag a bit with you guys.
Hang on, I'll talk at you when we're off here. But have everybody have a great night, and we'll see you all later.